100spreneur. Boost your entrepreneurial success. Fuel your entrepreneurial fire. Daily growth hacks and strategies are just a 100xpreneur episode away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to 100xpreneur. Today, we have a very special guest. He's Matt Rebeiro, and he's an amazing entrepreneur. He started his professional career as a sales broker. He was working for one of the largest banks in Canada. He was working as a project manager, so he has all the amazing experiences creating processes, doing the automatizations. And one thing that he's helping a lot of businesses solving problems with processes, with technology, and helping them to improve their KPIs. And one thing that is very interesting, he's a keynote speaker. He has a very international experience for a long, long time. And we are going today to speak about so many tips and hacks that they are going to help you in your business in order to grow, in order to scale, but in order to enjoy your life as entrepreneur.
Wonderful.
So thank you very much, Matt, for being with us today in 100xpreneur. I know that you have doing so many things around the world and you are like very, very busy today, but you have the time to work with us and to be in this podcast in order to share your experience, in order to inspire other people. So thank you very much for your time and for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So in that part, Mark, if we speak about your history, if we speak that you are an engineer and you have all the experience, you have worked with an amazing corporates, but you have your own startup and then you are helping another startups around the world to having so much success. What we can say in that 1 minute history about who are you, what do you love, what is your main purpose in life, creating business and helping business to grow?
Okay, so big question. What's my purpose in life? A lot of people struggle with that one for decades and they still can't answer it. So you're not giving me an easy one to start. So what's my purpose in life?
You can tell more about your history, about your life, and then after we can speak about your purpose.
Well, we'll tell you what. I'll answer the challenging question first, and then we can work our way back. I always tell people when they first meet me that I like to give before I get anything, and I encourage other people to do the same. What do I mean by give before you get? So many people today are transactional. It's, what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of this conversation? What am I going to get out of this responding to your email? What am I going to get out of responding to your direct message on LinkedIn? What am I going to get if you're lost in the street and I stop and take 5 minutes out of my day to help give you directions? What am I going to get? And that's the wrong approach and the wrong way of looking at life, from my perspective, at least. I have been raised and been quite successful throughout life in thinking about what am I going to give? So very similar sentence, but what am I going to give instead of what am I going to get? I start with that. What value can I give you, Agustin? What value could I give someone listening here to this podcast? What value can I give to a sales development rep who reaches out to me on LinkedIn? What development can I give to the tourist in the downtown core who's lost and I stop to help them out? What value can I give? And when you start with give instead of get, few letters difference in the sentence, what starts to happen is you start to build, as you would know when you talk about personal growth and public speaking and growth hacking of your personal brand and your corporate brand, Agustin, when you start with giving, you start by leaving an impression about who you are and the value you offer, not to this person, but to your community, to your country, to the world at large. And ultimately, you start to answer the questions about your purpose to your question. Why do you exist, right?
Yeah.
Well, some would say that, their goal or their purpose in life is to leave the world a little better off than it was before they came into it. I like to think that way as well. So like your last book, for example, called The Eternal Legacy, Well, a lot of people, they hear legacy, they don't always know what it means. It's quite interesting because when I work with companies, we not only talk about their vision, where they want to be, but oftentimes senior leaders, executives, I mean, even small business owners too, they don't often think about their legacy, what they're going to leave behind. Vision is where they want to be. Legacy is what they leave behind them when they're gone, right? And the legacy isn't just their business. They go, oh, I'm going to leave my business to my son or to my friend. No, 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 no. That's just succession planning. That's making sure that someone's still at the reins. But that's not your legacy. Your business isn't your legacy. It may be part of your legacy, but it's not your legacy. And if you want to, have a good story, everyone, about, what is a legacy and be entertained, you should check out Augustine's book, The Eternal Legacy, kind of be inspired on that note. And but full circle, Augustine, to your question, sum it up. What's my purpose in life? Well, I want to give as much as I can in the time that I have here. I want to meet as many people and add as much value to their lives as I can. And I don't expect anything in return. I mean, sometimes somebody or some person sometimes will, reciprocate, will, offer you a connection, introduce you to someone else. Sometimes they don't, and that's okay, because that's the very foundation of having a relationship driven life and not a transactional life. And the people who I find who lead transactional lives, whether it's in their personal life or their professional lives, they often find themselves pausing, reflecting at, middle age or in their later age, going, what did I do? I don't have real relationships. I don't have real friends. I don't have a family. I prioritize transaction for transaction. What do I get out of everything and everyone? And then once they start to be regarded or thought of as that transactional person, once the transaction is done, people are done with you too. I'll
And
give it back to you, Augustine.
in that part, Matt, there's sometimes, and it's pretty important because I think that business has changed a lot during the last years, because at the beginning it was, okay, I'm doing that, and then I'm going to ask for this payment, or I'm going to ask for that. But as you say, the opportunity that we have today to connect with people, the opportunity that we have to change the world, the opportunity that we have to take care about what is going to happen in the next decades or during with our family. Sometimes people, they see, no, I have to work and I have to do this, and I don't have time to give before I receive, or I don't have the ability because there are so many things and so many pressures. But this is something that we have to change the role today, because there are so many people that at the end, they are not happy, they are not making different things in order to impact the world. They are more like, okay, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this, and after 25 years they get retired, and it's like, oh my God, all my life happened. And when I started everything as entrepreneur, and I was like traveling for different projects in Europe, it was like very interesting, because in all the conferences they say, okay, first you have to give, first you have to meet the people, first you have to do the connections. And when I was doing the coaching certification in Barcelona, it was like very interesting, because they asked, if we die today, what do you want to write in your niche, and this is something that for me changed everything, because you have to start to create your history today before it happens, because if not, you will not have to, or you will not see the opportunities. And I think that, Matt, in that part, sometimes we are in this automate mode, and we do every day the same. So in that part, there are any habits that help you in order to grow your development, in order to say, okay, I have to stop, in order to see, okay, if I want to see all the perspective to help one business, first I have to do this. And this habit for me was, which one?
Certainly. So I make a point to remind myself that learning didn't stop when school stopped, when formal education stopped. I don't have all the answers. I won't next week. I won't next month, and I won't next year. For as quickly as I learn, the world around me is changing, and there's new perspectives, new ideas, new technologies, new problems. And so I constantly remind myself, and I dedicate as a habit, a ritual, a practice, time every single day to learn something new. Doesn't have to be a lot, doesn't have to be complicated, but every day I need to make a point of identifying something I don't know and investing time and energy and focus into being acquainted with it. Again, I don't need to be an expert. That's not the goal. But I need to be incrementally more knowledgeable, more capable, more valuable than I was the day before, so that I in turn can add incrementally more value for people in my network, for my friends, for my family, so that when they have challenges, when they have problems, whether it's personal or professional, I have more knowledge, more tools, more insights at my disposal to better help them, to give more, right? And it's funny, I spoke to a young entrepreneur a while back, and he said, how am I supposed to make any money if I just give? And I said, it's not that you're just giving. And I'm not saying let people take advantage of you. And he goes, well, what are you saying? And I said, you have to give, but listen to the rest of the sentence, before you get. And when you expand on that, you need to know how much to give. That takes some experience and practice, right? You don't give for 10 years for free to someone helping them out, right? And I'm not saying, give like, all right, sure, here's 5 seconds. So you need to know, and it comes with time and practice, how much to give, what to give, who to give it to, when to give it to them. And there's a balance. It's a skill that you need to sharpen over time, right? And so this learning part is learning about that, like how much to give, when to give, but it's also on that other vein, that other side is learning about how I can be better, stronger, more informed, more knowledgeable to help out the people around me, whether it's my clients, whether it's my friends. And I'm known to, like, people who know me quite well. Some people think I'm a little bit strange because when I see a problem and everyone goes that way, I run towards the problem and I go, oh, this sounds interesting. Not because I like problems because they're problems, but because when I see a problem, like, well, it looks like somebody or some group of people need help. And everyone else is getting out of that area because like, I want nothing to do with this. And I'm going, no, there's an opportunity here. There's a silver lining. Because we can help make this challenge and turn it into something positive at the end of the day, into a happier person, a happier relationship, a more profitable business. But first, you need to go the opposite direction. You got to be more of the shepherd and less of the sheep, right? And start to gravitate, have an affinity for challenges. So, for some people, I say problem, they go, oh no, I don't have any problems. I don't want to talk about problems. I'm like, look, we all have problems. I have problems. If you don't like the word problem, if it's dirty, scary, frightening, fine. We'll call it challenges. You still don't like that? We'll soften it more and call it an opportunity. But in my world, they're synonyms, right? Apple, apple, apple. Problem, challenge, opportunity. They're all the same thing, just wrapped up differently. And I understand some people need different wrapping paper in life, right? Some people need to have things presented, like with your marketing background, Agustín, presentation's important, right?
Yeah.
Good product with an ugly pitch, an ugly delivery is going to fall flat in its face, right? A bad product with pretty packaging, well, at least someone's going to open it up, but it'll fall flat on its face afterwards. Nonetheless, packaging is important, is the key takeaway. Presentation, marketing is important, right? And so, really it comes back to, what type of habit. Being a lifetime learner. Every day, something new, something better. Back to you.
And Matt, this is something like very important because, for example, when I was studying at the university, they say, you are going to graduate, so you will never have to study again. And this is something that I learned in the opposite way when I start with personal growth. And it say, you have to learn every day. You have to be today better than it was before. But sometimes the people, they don't have like the culture, or they have like this mindset of, okay, I don't have to learn because I'm the same person. But the times change, the technology change, the market change, and the people and the society change. So this is something, as you say, is very important. No, you have to be always learning. You have to be always open to learn something new and to adapt the technology. As you say, and you are doing like with so many businesses, no? I see the problem. Maybe other persons see like this is a chaos, a situation that I have to run out, but I see opportunity to help. I see in that way how to improve the situation, what we have to change in order to help these people that they have this problem. So in that part, Matt, when we have the situation that we are overwhelmed because we have so many things to do, and then we have to fight for the situation. Okay, maybe I don't have a very good cash flow, or I have a negative cash flow, so I need to improve, I need to develop new skills. But at the same moment, I have to give me the time to give some value before I get the account or before I start the relationship. So in that part, how do you balance this part in with a business, with the entrepreneurs that you are working, in order to say, okay, sales, they are important. You are overwhelmed because you have so many pressure about the product is not maybe the perfect one, but you need the strategy with the marketing, and then you need to automatize the process. So how do you manage when you have this customer or this company that they feel overwhelmed because they have to do everything? They are a small company. They have only 1, 2, 3 people working on the team. At this moment, they don't see like, okay, we can do everything, and going step by step to improve. They see like more the pressure. Okay, we have to arrive to the end of the month. We have to arrange everything because we have to do all the payments, but at the same moment we have to give value to the customers, and we have to make the relationship with the new customers, and we need the time to balance our life in order to say, okay, I have the time for my company, I have the time for myself, I have the time for my family.
Absolutely. So you may have heard of something called the Eisenhower matrix. It's been around a long time. It's very popular. Many people have heard about it or read about it somewhere or seen a social media post about it. What I find is very few people have actually used it. So when I hear about challenges around time and prioritization, I say, hey, let's use the Eisenhower matrix. What's that? I'm like, tell you what. Let's simply forget the Eisenhower matrix. Let's write down, what do you need to do? So explaining the Eisenhower matrix without explaining the history and theory behind it. So cutting to the chase, knowing they're busy. Let's write down a list of everything that you think you need to do. Everything you think you need to do first in one long list. Get it off your head and onto a piece of paper. I don't care if it's physical paper or a notepad or OneNote, whatever tool you use, Notion, Monday.com, doesn't matter. Write it down. Step 1 into making you less overwhelmed as a leader. Step 2, either independently or with assistance from someone who is experienced in doing this type of activity. Of all the things you think you need to do, start to separate them into the things you master list. This is your first of all the do's. You start transferring some of them into the delete list. Things I am not going to do at all. I thought I had to do it, but I really don't. And you can move things afterwards. People get afraid of putting on a list. Well, what if I actually, hold on a second. Putting it in the list, that bullet, that idea, that task, it doesn't mean it's going to evaporate. So just bear with me and go through the activity I tell them. Put it in the delete list for now. You can always take it out of the trash can before the digital garbage truck comes around. Okay? Then put stuff in the defer list. So I really want to do this, but do you need to do this today? Do you need to do it this week? Do you need to do it this month? And then delegate the fourth one. So do and delete and defer, and then delegate, right? Number 4 within the matrix. What can I give to somebody else to do? But nobody else can do it. Hold on a second. I'm not telling you need to give it to Sally or Bill or Sarah. I'm just saying, what can someone else on this planet Earth do? You're likely not the only person in the world who can do this task. Well, yes, but no, just stop right there. What could someone else do for you there? Forgetting for a moment if you've got the money or the training or if they have the knowledge, what can someone else do? Okay, so here's now we got a list of things we can potentially delete so you don't get anxiety here. We're not going to say delete for sure. Here are things that you could potentially give to other people. Here are things you can potentially defer. And what I find is people hold on tight, like, I want to do it all myself. I'm like, just let go and let it flow into the fields, okay? You know, these are not finalized, it's not carved in stone. I just want you to be open to the idea of taking everything here off your to-do list and start moving it across, right? The other thing too, I'll tell them, talked about tech and automation, which you're involved in, Agustín, is just because you're delegating, it doesn't mean to a person. And they go, what other kind of delegation could you do? To a robot. What? A physical robot? No, a software robot. So some things you can do and some things you can delegate to a bot. Oh, never thought about that before, Matt. Right. Well, first, what we need to do is under the delegate, what could be delegated to a bot and to a person? So there's 2 categories within delegation, bot and person. Well, how do I know what could be done by a bot, Matt? Great question. Is it standardized, the process? Is it rule-based? And is it repetitive? Standardized, the same things in the same order every time. Repetitive, you do this over and over every week, every month, every quarter. Maybe it's a report to shareholders. Maybe it's a balanced scorecard. Maybe it's you know, a monthly team report, right? Presentation, et cetera. There's a lot of these things that would fall under standard, repetitive, and rule-based. Rule-based meaning, you know, if red, then do this. If green, then do that, right? These are all things that can be done programmatically. I don't mean you need to be a developer or hire one. There's a lot of tools now that involve no code that allow people to do that. And they go, oh, okay. And I start to see the anxiety leaving them. Like, I'm starting to see the ability, Matt, to get some of these things off my plate, right? And some of the things that go to a person can eventually be rolled over to a bot, right? And if some things go to a bot and then for whatever business reason they're less standardized, you can roll them back to a person again. But it's all about setting up this system. The defer one people usually have trouble with and say, oh, everything's important right now. Everything needs to be done yesterday, right? Let's say you're a new founder. Oh, I need a website right away. No, you don't need a website right away. You want a website right away. There's a difference. No, I need one. Do you have a product right now that's working? No. Then you don't need a website right now. Do you have an MVP? Do you have anything that works? No, you don't need a website right now. Oh, but I need all these systems set up before the product's ready. I'm like, you can get to it, but there's 2 things that you don't have an unlimited amount of, many things, but these are very important, is time and money, especially as a founder. You need to understand time and money, right? Some people talk burn rate or runway. Fact is, you have limited time, and finite money. You need to focus on getting a problem clearly understood and a solution, and your problem meets somebody else's, or your solution meets somebody else's problem. Then your next challenge is product market fit, figuring out what's this product you're going to create and what market is going to fit into. Then you got all these other fun problems to tackle, like build a website and, you know, hire people and things like that. But oftentimes people start, you know, they're contacting lawyers and they're contacting accountants and they're contacting partners. They're building a website and a marketing campaign. I'm like, you don't have a functioning product yet. Every ounce of your time and energy starts with your product, because without it, none of this is relevant. There's nothing to sell. There's no one to sell to because you don't have something that's of value to them. And so the moment they start thinking like that, they go, yeah, I guess I can put the website for now at my stage. You know, I'm pre-seed stage. I'm bootstrapped right now. I'm just in the ideation stage. I suppose I really don't need all these things. That starts going in the defer bucket.
And
Right?
I think that sometimes people, they don't think in that way. No, is that okay? I have the domain, I have the website, I have the automatization, I have the service, no, and the other platform. And at the end, you say something very important. If you don't have a product to sell, if you don't have like the good one need that you are solving to one kind of customer, it will be like very hard to have a website. I was speaking with a corporate that they have like very amazing e-commerce website. They spend like almost like $200,000 in order to fit everything because they have so many products around the different countries. And at the end, they say, okay, but now we have a problem. We don't have the traffic. So they have very good products, but they don't have the traffic. And I think that sometimes, as you say, there are something that, okay, what is the most important thing to do right now? What is the second most important thing to do in that month? What can wait for the next month? Because at the end, it's not a matter of, okay, I have to do everything this month. It's a matter of how we can fit the bricks on the journey in order to be more productive, in order to develop these new skills to connect with the people. So in that part, with all the experience that you have helping organizations, SaaS entrepreneur startups that they have to sell their product, and if we have this one phone call with yourself and say, Matt, you have this 1 minute to speak with yourself 5 years ago, 5 years previously. So what will be like this learning, this message that you will share with yourself in order to say, Matt, I'm helping so many organizations around the world. I'm doing re-engineering processes. I'm doing automatization and everything. So what will be the message that you will share with yourself in order to move forward, in order to help more people, in order to impact more people's life?
It's a great question. I'm just going to change the timeline on you a little bit and reframe it. Who I am today is very similar to who I was 5 years ago. I mean, I have more experience now. I know more people I did 5 years ago. But philosophically speaking, from like a mentality standpoint, a mantra, focus, who I am and how I'm influencing myself and others, I'd go back much farther in time. If I could talk to myself much farther back than 5 years ago, I'd probably tell myself to invest in certain stocks. No, jokes aside, we all would, right? Like, go buy Nvidia stock right now, 20 years ago. But jokes aside, the advice that I always tell people, and it's still relevant today, is having a mindset around the word yet. Y-E-T, yet. What do I mean by that? Reminding myself earlier than when let's call it the epiphany, when I realized the power of having this mindset. The earlier I could have had it, certainly the more impactful I could have been in my own life and others, is having this yet mindset. And I'll expand on that. I can't do this, Agustín, or I can't do this yet. I don't know this, Agustín. I don't know this yet. I'm not, fill in the blank, smart enough yet. I'm not experienced enough, move the period, yet.
Yeah.
I'm not strong enough yet. I'm not fast enough yet. I'm not resilient enough yet. And when you realize that you can move the period and insert the yet at the end, and it's okay to acknowledge you can't do something today, but just because you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the experience, you don't have the speed, you don't have the strength, you don't have the willpower, you don't have the determination, you don't have the conviction now, it doesn't mean you can't get the knowledge, the speed, the strength, the determination, the willpower, the conviction. And the moment you realize that you have time, you have choice, that you have 24 hours in a day, and that regardless of the soil you're standing on, where you were born, and the circumstance you're born in, the one thing that makes us, in many ways, from an opportunity perspective, I wouldn't say completely equal, but more equal is time. We all have 24 hours in a day. What are you going to choose to do with your 24 hours? All of you. What are you going to do with your 24 hours? You're going to sleep for 12 hours a day? You're going to watch 12 hours of TV a day? You're going to complain for 12 hours a day? You're going to talk about what you don't have right now, what you don't have tomorrow? Are you going to plan next week what you're not going to have and what you can't do? Or you're going to wake up and start to realize, hey, I got 24 hours. I need to start spending my time more wisely and start adopting a yet mindset. I don't have the knowledge. I'm going to go to school and learn how to do it. I don't have the experience. I'm going to reach out to Agustín and say, hey, hire me as an intern to help me out with your business. Because I don't have experience yet, but I think you can give it to me. You know, I want to learn more about legacies. I haven't read the Eternal Legacy book yet. Right?
Right.
I want to focus on my personal growth. Right? Or I don't even know what personal growth is. So maybe I start learning. So it's not that I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it yet. I don't know what it means to me yet. I'm not good at public speaking yet. You all have to start somewhere. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time to start is today. So that yet mindset, Agustín, is immensely powerful for me and anyone I share it with. It's just about realizing it's never too late, right? Instead of talking about what you don't have, reframe your challenge and talk about what you can get.
In that part, Matt, and I think that this is like very interesting, and to include the word "yet" is going to change everything in our mindset and the things that we can achieve. Because at the end, sometimes people say, "Okay, I cannot speak English, or I cannot do this, or I cannot be a business owner, or I cannot create my own startup, or I cannot be freelance because I don't have the skills, or because blah 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 blah." But as you say, I cannot do today, pues I cannot do yet, no? But I'm going to develop the skills. I'm going to change my communication skills. So I'm going to improve the way that I'm doing marketing, or I'm connecting with companies. And I think that this is something like very valuable for everyone that is listening to the podcast, because at the end is something that only one word can change everything. Because if you think that you can do, you are right. If you think that you can't do, you are right too. And this sentence from Henry Ford, I think that is like very interesting from the point of view of the mindset that you were telling us. So imagine now that we make a open call to say, hello, everyone in the world. I'm Matt. I'm going to work in a full weekend with a new project. So you have like 100 amazing entrepreneurs that they apply around the world to say, Matt, I want to visit you. I want to meet you. I want to learn from everything that you are doing. And I want to help you for this boot camp that you are creating. And I'm ready to learn anything. I'm ready to give my support, to share my skills with you. What will be the most valuable thing that you will organize with these 100 truly fans that they are with you in this boot camp during 2 days, ready for you to do anything that you say, okay, we can do this for the business, we can do this for this organization. So what will be the most amazing thing that you will say, okay, I'm going to focus on that?
In a 2-day boot camp?
2-day boot camps, 100 true fans from Matt working with you. Say they travel around the world. They say, okay, we are going to pay all expenses. We want to be with you. Please ask anything that we can support you, because here we are to help you in anything that you need.
So I would say the most important theme around a learning adventure like that, called Learning Adventure of 2 days, if it was centered around the concept of possessing a yet mindset, the main theme would be around understanding, coming to, what I talk about a lot with businesses is process. And so whether you're talking about your mindset, personal growth, public speaking, we all have processes. And we don't realize it. And a lot of times someone will say to me, process. I don't have a process for these things. I'm like, you have a process. You're just not aware of your process. So you want to discover how your thinking is being influenced right now. Your thinking right now is on cruise control, autopilot. You have likely subconsciously built out the way you think based on your surroundings, nature, nurture, your mentors, your family have shaped you into who you are today, knowingly or unknowingly. And so first you need to think about, what are the things that led you to this mindset, this belief right now? What are your current daily processes that reinforce this mindset that you currently have? And once you know what those processes are, you can start to disrupt your own processes. Some people will say it takes 28 days to form a new habit. Whatever number of days you want to put around that, the key takeaway there is, and for, let's say if there was a boot camp, understand your process. When do you wake up? Do you wake up the same time or different time every day? When you wake up, what do you do? What do you think? What do you eat? How do you dress? Where do you go? What's your process for doing that? All these things influence how you're thinking. Step one is break your processes deliberately, consciously. Do things you don't normally do, right? Literally eat the different breakfast, drink the different drink, change differently, go in a different direction, right? To the Spanish audience, right? If you normally, turn right, today, cruza a la izquierda, right?
Yeah.
Break the path. There's a fork in the road, recto, right through it. Go into the forest. Car doesn't go, get out of the car and go for a walk. Some of the greatest inspirational moments for all of us, including myself, pivotal moments, is when we do things we don't normally do. Then the problems we have start solving themselves in our mind. Because a lot of us aren't thinking about the power of the subconscious. And so if I have a problem, I'll deliberately look at it and then I'll go away and do something else. Because I know the processes in my brain are still working on that problem when I can go do something else. But when I don't try too hard, right? I'm going to sit here in 8 hours at my computer until I solve the problem. Or I can look at it for 3 minutes and go for a hike. And it's very likely that either during that hike or when I get back from the hike, I'm much closer to solving the problem than I would be if I sat down staring at a page on my screen for 8 hours straight. And so this boot camp would be all around helping people see that, breaking the pattern, doing things differently, hands-on in the workshop. Let's go and reenact some of the things you normally do, and let's break them right here today. Let's break the pattern, break the line of thinking, and start to wake you up again. Because a lot of us, you find you wake up, you do this thing, it's almost like repeat, like a Groundhog Day, if you've heard the American expression, right? Keep living the same day over and over again. You don't want to live the same day. You got to make a conscious effort to do something differently. It's like when I go into the city to meet clients. I could go to the coffee shop that I had a good cup of coffee and I really liked it. But it's predictable. I know that it's likely to be the same person working there and the same people that are there the day before. Or I can break the pattern. So what do? I get lost. I go looking for a different coffee shop. Could it be bad coffee? Maybe. Could it be burnt? Right? Could it be a waste of my time and money? Absolutely. But it also may not. And so I want to see new things, meet new people, network with people, right? Have more chance encounters. I need to do things differently. Walk into different buildings, take different streets, take different paths. people will laugh at me sometimes because I'm often the guy, when you present me with two options, I'll pick number 3. And that's what I tell people to do as well. Matt, do you want chocolate or vanilla ice cream? How about strawberry? We don't have strawberry. Okay, take the chocolate and vanilla and mix it together. So you want like a blend? Yeah, all together, mix it up. Let's change it. Why don't you pour some pop on it and turn it into a float? I don't know, let's just do something different, right? I went, funny story here on the Thinking Differently for the workshop. I share this with many people, they relate. I was walking down a popular street in a tourist area near where I live. And the one place was a gelato shop. For Europeans out there, they all know gelato, right? It's like a type of, not ice cream, right? It's similar,
Yeah.
but not the same. No one get mad at me who are gelato aficionados. And I went and I got gelato on a stick. Then I walked
Okay.
to yeah, it's on a stick because it looked like a popsicle, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I went to a bakery and I ordered a pastry. It was like this big, the size of my head. And my wife looked at me and she goes, "What are you doing? You already got a sweet." And I said, "I want to try something different today." And she goes, "You're going to have 2 sweets?" And I said, "No, I'm going to have 1 sweet and I'm going to make it." And so I cut a hole of the pastry and I put the gelato inside of it on a stick. So I had this like buttery pastry on a stick with like chocolate gelato. And I was walking down the street eating it like a giant lollipop. And everyone saw me and goes, "Oh my gosh, it looks delicious. Where did you get that?" And my wife started laughing and she's like, "Oh my goodness." And I said, "See, look, I invented something new today. Everybody wants it." Right? Did I know that was going to be the reaction? No, I just wanted to try something new.
Okay.
And so I went back to the gelato shop and I said, "Hey, you should partner with that bakery." I went to the bakery. I said, "Let me introduce the people at the gelato shop because people really like the idea of your gelato inside of their pastry. You guys could both sell products, right? It'd be something new and unique on the street." How did it happen? I just said, "Let's try something different."
And I think that this is something like very interesting because sometimes we have this routine that we are doing like every day the same, or as you say, not the American day where every day is the same and you are not moving because at the end it's the same day after the same day. And one thing that in that part you say that is like very amazing is okay, if I want to do something different, I have to try new things. So I have to break the pattern. I have to try this product maybe with this another, and maybe someday is going to not be working, but other day will be like people will say, "Oh my God, I love this. I want to buy this product." So in that part, I think that the entrepreneur needs this kind of mindset in order to solve problems, because sometimes he say, "Okay, I'm going to do this because my grandfather do that and then all the family did." And I think that this is something that we have to break in order to achieve something different. And in that part, you have the experience working at international level, you have the experience working with large corporative, and then you have the experience working with organizations and startups that they sell their own SaaS products. And in that part, if we speak, Matt, about the mindset, because everything at the end is mindset, no? It's like, okay, how you solve the problem, how you find a solution, how you do the things differently, how you find where is the gap so you can improve this process. And you are doing like very well because you told that sometimes you have like this improvement of a KPI of 30%, but other times you have the amazing experience of changing a KPI, improving by 1000%. So I think that this is something that not everyone is doing, or not every person is achieving with his customers. So in that part, what is the difference from the point of view of the mindset, the processes, and everything that you are like working with the companies, from one company that is doing 5-7 figures to the one that is doing 8 figures with the same business, with the same products, and on the same market?
So a great question. So I was speaking to an executive a while back, and they said, "What's the difference between working in the startup world and the enterprise world?" My answer was simple. It's just size, right? From my perspective and experience, The challenges a startup faces is surprisingly very similar to the challenges an enterprise faces. What's different? Size. You have 85, someone else has 85,000, right? Everyone needs marketing. Everyone needs sales. Everyone needs accounting. Everyone needs finance. The functions to make a company work exist at this enterprise and exist at this startup. The number of FTE or people on each team is different, right? The layers are deeper, but at the core, the functions are the same. So when you look at, the small companies and large companies, you start to realize, hey, you know what? If I save 1% for a startup, it's X. If I save 1% for an enterprise, it's Y, right? So the multiplier is larger, right? 1% is going to be, potentially millions in savings or revenue for an enterprise, much less for a startup, but you still have the similar problems that they have and similar solutions. Your multiplier changes between the two. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's interesting because they're not that different, at least from what I've seen. We've been working in both spaces for many years. And then your question, can you loop back to the last part of it again?
Yes. What is like the main difference from one company that is doing like six-figure business and is like sometimes okay, now I'm working better, I have more sales, and now this year is a little bit less, but the following year is like increasing 25-30%, versus the one that scale and to achieve the 8-figure business on the same market, doing the different things, doing different things, but at the end, the essence and the fundamentals of the company, they are very similar.
Okay, so on that question, what's the difference between 5-6 figure, place that number that versus like 7-8 figure? One word: adaptation. What do I mean by adaptation? There's a common saying, there's different versions of it, but the essence of it is what got you here won't get you there. People who realize that what got them here won't get them there are the ones that go from the 5 to the 6, the 6 to the 7-figure, the 7-figure to the 8-figure. Because they're not doing the same thing over and over. Oh, it's working, I'm going to keep doing it. It's only a question of it's working until it's not. Right? Your strategy is only working until it's not working, and you need to be responsive to changes in the market, right? Changes in consumer behavior, changes in macro and microeconomic factors, things like interest rates changing, right? Events like COVID happening, right? You had a plan that didn't anticipate COVID. There wasn't any industry that was untouched by it. You need to adapt, the adaptation part, right? For people in the strategy business or strategy rules a long time, there's a joke. They're like, yeah, you can create a 5-year plan, but you're going to be changing it, right? Expect the changes. Not to say you don't plan 5 years out, but definitely plan that your 5-year plan is not going to go the way you planned, right? And the smaller the company, the faster you need to change. The quicker you need to be able to respond to change, to pivot, to be agile in the sense of the verb, right? Sometimes you need to make changes, every week or every month. Larger companies, maybe less often, but adaptation is key. And so many times, someone might be in a role at an enterprise and like, look how big my business is. Look at how successful it is. Like, well, it's a 150-year-old company and you've been there 12 months. Quite frankly, you're not responsible for the success of the 150-year-old company in 12 months. So I hear people say, oh, I added value for a $3 billion company. And I'm like, yes, not to undermine you, but ... you've been there 6 months and it's been there 150 years. It's unlikely that you've done much to move any needle there. So yes, it's a big company. You're one of 500,000 employees. Yes, it's a big company and they're doing well, but the processes and systems were in place already before you joined. So it's more of a question at the larger companies. How do you not necessarily, or how do I say this nicely? How do you not screw up something that's already working? Look, under my leadership, I got this. Right. So what I see oftentimes is you've demonstrated that you're experienced enough to not break something that somebody else set up. And that's still something to celebrate, right? The question is, are you the one that moved them from 6 to 7 or from 7 to 8? That's impressive. It's also impressive to not break something that's in motion going from 6 to 7 or 7 to 8. Oftentimes different skills to hold the course, like don't let the wheel move, don't take your hands off the steering wheel, keep it steady, cruise control. That takes skill. It also takes skill to get the ship going straight or the car to go straight and stay in the lanes. Two different skills. Some people have both, some people have one, some people have the other. But moving up, right, all fundamentally requires a system, knowledge of a system. What do I mean? You need to understand that there are processes in every company, small and big. You need to understand that standards equal growth. You can't scale easily something that's non-standardized. You're a McDonald's. You buy a Big Mac in Miami or in Los Angeles or in Toronto or on the other side of the world. It's going to look the same. It's going to taste the same. It's a standard. The bun, the meat, the lettuce, it goes in a certain order. That's what I mean by a standard. The person, every McDonald's is trained how to assemble, how to build that burger in the same order, using the same process to create a standardized experience, and therefore they scale their business. It's not unlike that in the software business or any other business. How do you create standardized systems that can be partially to completely automated, and then you can turn the nozzle, right? Or the handle, the knob, you can scale it. But a lot of people don't get, whether they've been 20 years in the business, some people get this and you'll see them, they're wildly successful in their careers. And some people, they just don't get the fact that you can't easily, not impossible, you can't easily scale something that's not standardized. So process awareness, understand what your current state is, where you're at today. How do you standardize it, make it the same every time? And how do you partially completely automate it? Once you got a good product and a good company, a good brand, that's the key between small in terms of figures and big figures, is where your effort doesn't keep going up with the growth, right? If you are to map it out on an axis like this, you're going to see your growth going up and your effort go up and then start to plateau. And that's an indication that someone, hey, when I look at a chart like that, I'm like, you found a way to standardize and automate something without telling me anything. I'm like, effort plateaus and the line still goes up. Congratulations, you understand automation, standardization, and scale. It's unlikely that that'll happen on its own. It's usually by an intentional strategy and moves.
And I think, Matt, that is like very amazing because at the end, there are so many valuable in everything, as you say, no, there are so many things to do. There are so many ways, but you have to find the correct one. So in that part, Matt, where we can find you, where are your social media, where one company can say, okay, Matt, I love everything that you have teach today, where we can find, where are you, what is the last message that you want to share with us today?
Certainly. First and foremost, I'm an advisor, meaning I give people advice for a living. You could get me through my website, mattrebeiro.com. That's MATTREB as in Bravo, EIRO.com. On social, pretty much any social platform out there, you can find me. My primary social profile is on LinkedIn. My handle is the Matt Rebeiro, THE Matt Rebeiro. It's the same handle on every other social platform if you want to reach me. LinkedIn's the best place though. And and I respond to every message I get. It may not be fast. I try and respond to everyone as quickly as possible, but I do make a point, regardless of who you are and what you want or your need or you're selling. I do respond back to everyone who sends me a message eventually. So feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to you about your business, about challenges you have or networking. Every conversation is important to me. And in the meantime, I would say, I'm guessing you have a large following too in perhaps Latin America, Central America, as well as Europe, Agustin. And excuse me if it's not great, but I'll try my best. In the meantime, vive tu mejor vida.
Thank you very much, Matt. It was a very pleasure to have you here on the podcast to share your energy with us, to teach about everything, the insights and your learnings from your amazing career as entrepreneur, as business owner, advisor, and keynote speaker. So thank you very much for being with us in 100 Entrepreneur. Thank you very much that is listening this podcast, watching the podcast, and please follow us in our social media, and remember that today is the best day to do a better work. Thank you very much. I'm Agustín Rosa, and we will see you very soon. Thank you very much, Matt.
Gracias.
100spreneur. Boost your entrepreneurial success. Fuel your entrepreneurial fire. Daily growth hacks and strategies are just a 100xpreneur episode away.